When people think about robotics or robots or animation or animation, most of the time they think of the future or sci-fi or movies or TV or, oh, that's just fakeness or it's in the future or up and away, or they just think it's not about today. But robotics and robots and automation are here, and they're going to continue to stay here, and they're going to be a part of what this is, even in America, across this world. And with the creation of robots and robotics and automation in the workforce, times have changed. And that trajectory is going to continue on to be changing. It's not going back. It's going to continue to go forward. And according to Daryl West, in his 2018, The Future of Work, Robotics, AI, and Automation, Foxconn, the Chinese company that make the iPhones, they established a goal that 30% of their company would be automation by this year, 2020. That means that 30% would completely be automation, whether that would be by robotics, through machinery, or through whether that would be servers, through drones or machines that would go from one place to another in their factories. Either way, it's getting rid of humans and replacing them with machines. And so through that process, 60,000 human jobs have been lost through robots and automation. And children now, they, according to the same researcher, can go through school through a robot teacher with an iPad. This situation was through a person, a sick child in a hospital with an iPad, but still it's through a robot was teaching her. So now school has even changed. Why do we need a teacher? Hey, just a robot, which is smarter than a human anyways. So why not? So there's social robots. You know, it started out as toys, right? We get our kids toy dogs and toy cats and toy this. It just starts out small and we don't think anything about it. But now it just becomes more and more until it takes over more of our lives. And it's become ingrained into more and more of our lives. In a social world and part of our lives with computers and the internet and everything. And it's in a part of the workforce and a part of that life. And it slowly creeps in until nobody really notices, until jobs are lost, and then there's a complaint about that, but there's not a complaint when we're when we're paying for items and the prices are what they are. This means that there's an elimination of entry-level employment, and there can and or will be this entry-level work is going to be filled by automation, robots, robotics. This is going to happen, and in some places it's already happening. So for those people who do not have or only have a high school diploma, it is going to be very difficult for them to move forward in the future. Without some kind of more education. And even though we have been proclaiming that for years and years and years, the importance of education, the importance of getting a higher education, a higher degree, of learning some skill, of doing something, it has come to the point now where it is very very important to the point of, are you really going to have a job? Because automation is there now. It's not about the future anymore. It is here. Giovanni and Fassi in 2012, in their Robotics State of the Art and Future Trends book, state that automation continues to grow because the improvements in safety, flexibility, accuracy, ease of use of robots, and thanks also to the decrease of robot installation cost over labor cost. Again, it's about the cost of all factions. So it's about the cost of labor, but it is also the cost of flexibility. It's also about the cost of accuracy. It's also about the cost of everything that a manager is looking for, everything of operational manager is thinking about, of everything he is computing or she is computing in and out of what it costs to make. Say they're making a product. What does it cost to put this product together from A to Z? And it costs more to have a human being there than it does to have that machine to do that. Then they're going to put a machine there to do so, to make that automation. We've seen this, but it's just come to a head now where it's just more and more and more. So the disadvantage to the worker is simply a loss of jobs. And unless they work for a company that is willing to move them or to train them for a different skill level or move them to a higher skill level within that company, then they are going to lose their job. The benefits should show up for the consumer through the prices of the product when the products do not have to be raised because of the demands of keeping the wages of the employee no longer are there, a part of that scale of the cost of the product. So there is advantages for the consumer. There's advantages for the owners of the businesses. There's advantages for, there is a disadvantage when it comes to when you're first starting up and having to buy all that machinery and all of that. But when you're first starting up, there's the disadvantage of paying for all of those employees. So you have to think about that cost of all those employees, all that insurance, all of that. Machines you buy at one time, it lasts a very, very, very long time before you would have to replace it. So the human aspect, it just is not cost effective to continue to hire human beings to do a job that a machine can do it faster and just better, more accurate. It is very important for the operation managers to get into the game of technology now, to be on top of it now, to be on track for this career and in the future. Euthanian Elongiven in the book Smart Automation to Smart Manufacturing explained, and I quote, "The business career is categorized into two different paths, industrial IoT and consumer IoT. And I quote, few basic things that can be or needs to be known to move towards smart connected environment are as follows." This is important for what is happening with the technology, what is happening for everything that is going for managers to have in their pocket. These are just the basics that we need to know for operational managers, for any kind of managers. This is the basics that this expert says that we need to have. Basics of various sectors of manufacturing, industry, and operations and processing. Basics of electronics. Basics of processor, microcontroller. Basics of connecting technology and its enhancement. Basics of different types of sensors. Basics of internet boards. Basics of analytics. Basics of programming skills. Basics of internet technology. Basics of platforms. Basics of big data, Hadoop, SQL, basics of cloud technology and its environment, basics of artificial intelligence. This is just the basics that you need if you are going to be able to move toward that smart connection with the smart houses, the smart industry. Everything is going to that smart connection. And for the managers to be able to move forward, that's just the basics that you have to know to move forward. Now, Sampath and Karganakor have produced a solution for the issue of automation in the workforce. And they've come up with this solution. And I'm not going to say whether I agree with it or disagree with it, but it is a solution. According to their social responsible automation, a framework for shaping the future, this was in a journal that they wrote. They proposed a social responsible automation called a SRA. Was a 4-level model. Now, this 4-level model has an aspirational vision, and it's grounded in 2 principles. And then I'm just going to give you the 2 principles that it's grounded in. Humans will and should remain critical and central to the workplace of the future. Controlling, complementing, and augmenting the strength of technological solutions and automation, artificial intelligence, and related technologies are but tools to improve and enrich human lives and livelihoods. Now, my understanding of operations management has changed from the beginning of this course because I can put the correct language to the processes that business do to function in the day-to-day. The ethical implications needing to be addressed are the ones about the robots. Who's liable for a robot if it harms a human? And does a robot have rights? And what is stopping someone from programming a robot to do something this way or that way? And is it right that we get rid of all the human lower levels to replace them with robots and robotics and automations? And is that ethical? Is that not ethical? Who says that's ethical and who says that's not ethical? Is that okay in our society? And what laws do we take and do in place now before this becomes a problem in the future with the robots? Because the robots are getting more and more human looking. I mean, they are definitely human looking. There's some things out there that are kind of scary looking, that they're so human looking. And as I said, this is not a sci-fi movie anymore. This is not fiction. This is real life. This is our now. This is our now. This is not just our future. Automation's here, and robotics is here, and robots are here. It's not our future anymore. It's what are we doing now? And how are we going to take that and mold that and shape our society with it? That's our next step, because it's already here. What are we going to do with it now? We have to decide our future with that. That's the ethical question. What do we do now? Because I think all of these things are not in the future anymore. Yeah, it used to be sci-fi. It used to be fiction. It used to be, movies that we watched as children with Terminator movies and, all these crazy movies. And we used to think they were just fiction, but they're not. They're not fiction. They're just a part of life. And so we do have the social robots that are taking over, but in the manufacturing world, there is a realness to the fact that machines are taking over more and more and more. When you watch documentaries about manufacturing plants, they replace humans with machines more and more.